Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then hi, welcome. I hope you subscribe and join us here. My name is Emmy and I make vlogs and a lot of reading and book content, as you can tell by this video. And today is no different. We are picking my TBR for June. I've not actually done a TBR video before. I do a TBR for my BookTok account. Come follow me, by the way, if you like more reading content. Usually just pick my TBR there based on what I want to read and what series I'm in the middle of reading kind of thing. It's sort of, I just pick whatever. But I have a very big TBR, to be fair. All of this shelf behind me, this row, is TBR. So we've got quite a few books that we want to do, and I'm also going on holiday this month. I'm having my summer vacation and I will be by a poolside for a week reading. Yeah, I'm open to reading any kinds of books. We all know by now that I pretty much exclusively read fantasy and some romance, so they will be the genres that I'm picking from. And the books that I have here, I have been obsessed with just booktuber content at the moment, as everyone else in the world has, but I can't stop watching Rachel Catherine's TBR Jar Chooses my reads for the month videos. So that's what we're going to do today. I think it's such a fun idea. I don't know if Rachel's the first one to do it. I think she is. Anytime I see anyone else do it, they credit her. So shout out to Rach. So that's what we're gonna do. I've made a TBR jar and I found a bunch of prompts on like Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and I've put them in a jar. So we have the jar here and I'm just gonna randomly pick 6 prompts from this, and we're gonna pick 6 books. And 6 isn't actually a lot for someone who reads like over 20 books a month, or at least has been for the last 3 months, but I feel like I'm gonna pick 6 books to read from my TBR prompt because I also have some other books that I want to get through, like Kindle reads of series that I'm in the middle of and things like that, but I don't want to include them in my TBR. I want my TBR mostly to be new books or books that I can get through my actual physical TBR. My monthly TBR is usually 12 books, but the TBR jar is going to pick 6. So we're going to start picking today. Bit nervous. I think we're just going to jump straight into it. We'll go for one at the top. I tried to shuffle them, but I don't know. Oh my god, okay. A book published this year. Ooh, do I even have any? What am I talking about? Of course I have books published this year. Moving over to my hardbacks. I have a Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen, and I also have Feybound. And out of the 2 of these, I think I'm gonna go for Feybound. So I think this is the one we're gonna choose. First of all, like, how beautiful is that cover? It's obviously fantasy. This is not a romance book. This is As a Warrior in the Arven Elmy. Arven Elmy. Meant to say Elven Army. Elven Army. Iran? I'm terrible at names. Has known nothing but violence her whole life. Her sister Lettel is trying to make a living as a diviner? Diviner, seeking prophecies for a better future. When a fatal mistake leads her to exile from the elven lands, both sisters are forced into terrifying wilderness beyond their borders. There they encounter the impossible Fae court. I love books with Fae. The Fae haven't been seen for a millennium, but now they are thrust into the seductive world, torn between their loyalty to each other, their elven homeland, and their heart. Elven sisters who get kicked out of the elven lands, exiled, and end up going into the Fae world. Sounds very interesting. So I think this is going to be the first book on my TBR for June. Alright, now to pick another one. That was a yellow sticky note, so let's go for a pink one at the bottom, I think. Okay. Why is this so nerve-wracking? A fairy tale retelling. Do I even have one? I've got Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and I know that's like Alice in Wonderland, focusing on the Queen of Hearts, like before she became the Queen of Hearts. So would this count? We have Guild. It's a King Midas retelling, but would you class that as a fairy tale retelling? And then I also have these Violent Delights, which is a Romeo and Juliet. I guess it depends on your definition of fairy tale. These are the 3 books that BookTok has recommended. I wouldn't say King Midas is a fairy tale or Romeo and Juliet. So I think we're gonna go with Heartless by Marissa Meyer. And I'm honestly a bit nervous to read it. This was a book that I bought because I saw so many people talking about it and recommending it. And then as soon as I bought it, all the recommendations of people talking about it went to I hate this book. So now I'm like, oh, okay. If I wasn't forced to pick it in from my TBR jar, I probably wouldn't pick it up for a while, so maybe it's good we're getting it out of the way. All right, let's pick the next. A book with a dual point of view. Okay, I know Twin Crowns has a dual point of view of the sisters, so I think we're gonna pick this one. I don't actually know what other ones have a dual point of view. Perfect, we'll go for this one. I actually bought all 3 of these books because I got a good deal for them. So I should probably start the first one. Prince Rose is heir to the throne of Ina. Trained from birth to fear the witches that killed her parents, she'll do anything to defend her kingdom. Stolen from the Paris at birth, Ren is the secret sister that no one knew about. She plots to usurp the princess in order to protect the witches of Arthur who raised her. Sounds super interesting. When I put this on my book haul, so many people were saying that it was such a fun, easy read. It's YA, and I mean, like, the pages in it look really, like, largely printed and very easy to follow along. Yeah, the way everyone was describing this was that it was just really easy and fun to read. So I have some high hopes for this in that sense, and I can't wait to read it. So I'm glad that my TBR is giving me an excuse. But so far, all these books have been fantasy books. So I'm like, are we gonna get any romance in this video? Okay. Next one, let's go for a yellow one. A book you have avoided reading. There's quite a few I have avoided reading. You know what? I'm gonna use it to get a romance book because I have been avoiding romance in general. We are going to go with Flawless by Elsie Silver. I have avoided reading this. I've been putting it off until it was more summertime. Last month I read Wild Love by Elsie Silver and I really loved it, way more than I thought it was. It was such an easy read, but I've been putting this off because of how big the Chestnut Spring series is. So maybe it's time for me to pull my head out of my ass and just get on with it because I know I'm going to love it and feel silly for having avoided it for so long. The rules were simple: keep my hands off his daughter, but now I'm stuck with her. There's only one bed. Why have I never read the back of this? Probably would have read it sooner. And well, rules are made to be broken. Hell yeah, they are. I'm the golden boy of professional bull riding. Interesting profession choice. Or at least I was until it all blew up in my face. Now my agent says I have to clean up my image, so I'm stuck with his ball-busting daughter for the rest of the season as my full-time supervision. But I don't need a goddamn babysitter, especially one with skin-tight jeans, a sexy smirk, and a mouth she can't stop running. A mouth I can't stop thinking about. I'm blushing already. She says this means nothing, I say this means everything. She says there are boundaries we shouldn't cross, that my reputation can't take any more hits and neither can her damaged hearts. So I say I'm gonna steal it anyways. Yes. Okay, now I'm excited. I've never actually read the back of the books. I just knew it was like a cowboy romance. And for a fantasy reader, I'm like, cowboy romance? But now I'm like, cowboy romance. So a book with 3 words in the title. I feel like a lot of them have 3 words. What have we got? We've got Six of Crows, The Winter Garden, These Violent Delights again, A River Enchanted, The Atlas 6, and then I also have After I Do and One True Love by Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I can't reach them. Out of all of these, I think I want to read The Winter Garden because this was a book that I hadn't seen anyone else talk about or recommend. It was one that I picked up in the bookstore just because the cover was pretty, and then when I read the back I was like, this sounds really interesting. On the night Beatrice's mother dies, the mysterious and enchanting Winter Garden becomes her solace for 7 days. But when the garden disappears without a trace, Beatrice is left to wonder if it was ever real. 18 years later, on the eve of her wedding to a man she doesn't love, Beatrice decides to throw off the expectations of Victorian English society and search for the garden that she has never forgotten. But when both she and her closest friend Rosa receive invitations for a competition to create breathtaking pleasure gardens, the prize being one wish from the last of the Winter Garden's magic, she realizes she may be closer to finding it than she ever thought. Now all she has to do is win. It just sounds so enchanting and fun. I did look it up on Goodreads to see if anyone I know had read it. They hadn't, but the ratings were really high for this. And then in my book haul, a few people had said that they really loved this. So I think I've been drawn to this for a while. I think we're gonna choose this, which means we only have one more to choose. And this is going to be the final one. Let's hope it's a good one. The last book you bought or downloaded. Ooh, I downloaded a bunch of books on my Kindle, which were like second and third books in the series that I'm reading, but I placed a Waterstones order. But I've done 2. I did 2 a few days apart, and half of that order has arrived, but the other half hasn't yet. And it's not coming until Tuesday, so because that one's going to take a while to come. The last book that I bought was Fall of Ruin and Wrath by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I have been reading From Blood and Ash, and I think this is one of her latest books. Not part of that, but I've been reading a lot of her books lately and I've been enjoying them. And the other book that I had bought on Waterstones that hasn't come yet is also a Jennifer L. Armentrout book, and that is the prequel for From Blood and Ash, which is Shadow in the Ember. So which one am I going to read? What does this say? Let's see if the blur of this one is more interesting. Long ago the world was destroyed by gods, only 9 cities were spared, separated by a vast wilderness teeming with monsters and unimaginable dangers. Each city is now ruled by a guardian, royals who feed on mortal pleasure. Born with an intuition that never fails, Callista knows her talents are valuable to the powerful of her world, so she lives hidden as the Baron of Archwood's courtesan. In exchange for protection, she gives him information. However, when her intuition saves a prince in dire trouble, the voice inside her blazes with warning and promise. Today he'll bring her joy, but one day he'll bring her doom. When the Baron takes an interest in the prince, and the prince takes an interest in Callista, she becomes his temporary companion. However, her city simmers with rebellion. With knights and monsters at the city gates and a hungry prince in her bed, even her powerful instincts may not be enough to keep her safe. She must choose follow her intuition to safety or her heart to downfall. This sounds interesting. Yeah, I think we're gonna go for this one because the other one hasn't arrived and I can't find the blurb of that online. So I think that is my TBR for the month, which I think is definitely an interesting mix, especially with Flawless just sitting there in the middle like, hey. I'd say the only one that I'm not looking forward to reading is Heartless. Yeah, the rest I'm quite excited about. So this was very, very fun and definitely not what I would have just like gone and picked myself. Definitely gonna make a big dent in my physical TBR with these. You will probably see me reading these in book vlogs to come. So make sure that you subscribe for more reading vlogs and content. If you have read any of these books on my TBR, please let me know in the comments if you like them and which ones you think I should read first. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.